class and today's discussion. I'm going to bring up the opening prayer just so that it's in front of you. We are all, of course, familiar with it. But I'm going to mute all so that there's no feedback. You are free to unmute yourself at any time. So if you need to say something, you need to ask a question, you can raise your hand or unmute yourself and just cough a little and we'll look out for you. All right, I think it's time. We're going to begin. So sitting comfortably in any posture. We're going to begin with the opening prayers, which is Sahana Bhavatu. So please sit comfortably in any posture. Just relax. Close your eyes gently and relax the expression on your face. Sitting, if you're sitting on a chair, keep your feet full foot contact with the floor below. If you're sitting cross-legged, just relax, sitting with the back straight. The back is straight but not stiff. The back, neck, and head are in a straight line. The eyes are closed gently and the expression on the face is relaxed. The shoulders are relaxed. The belly is relaxed. As you inhale, let the belly expand. Breathing into the belly, and as you exhale, simply let go. Feel a sense of lightness as you let everything go. Letting go of all your thoughts. Letting go of all your preoccupations for the next 2 hours. Letting everything go. Settling down for today's conversation. Bring a gentle smile to your face and let the smile breathe into your heart all the way. As you breathe in, take the smile into your heart and then let it radiate out from your heart, filling the world around with the smile, a gentle sense of joy. Keep the smile. We're going to bring the palms together in Namaskar Mudra, pressing the palms together gently, touching the fingers together gently, and gently touching the back of the thumbs into the chest. Bring your attention to the hollow space between the palms. Pay attention. Look for signs of vibration, energy, electricity, pulsation. A thump that you hear in your palms. Feel it. Keep your attention right here as we chant Om, and then if you know it, chant the opening prayers together with me. We're going to chant Om 3 times. Exhale completely. Take a deep breath. Inhale. Inhale and chant. Inhale and chant. Inhale and chant. Sahana Bhavatu, Sahanau Bhunaktu, Sahaviryam Karavavahai, Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vitvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Take your arms behind you, grab your right wrist with your left hand and breathing in, stretch. Breathing out, bend forward in a deep sense of surrender. Come back up, breathing in, release your hands, rub your palms together to generate some heat. And gently cup your eyeballs to transfer that heat. Massaging the face and the neck, and then blinking, open your eyes and pull your palms back like an open book. Namaskar. I'll briefly describe the meaning of this prayer. Om, may we both be protected. May we both be nourished. May we work together with great energy. May our knowledge be radiant. May there be no differences or disputes between us. Om, peace, peace, peace. Thank you and welcome to today's discussion session. I'm going to turn it over to Anjana ji, who's your faculty associate for this session. Anjana ji, over to you.
Thank you, Gauravji. Welcome to the session 2. The topic of session 2 is spiritual care today, and I would let Usha ji to talk about a little bit Moodle update. She would like to speak about that. So Usha ji, please, can start.
Thank you, Anjana ji. Can everybody hear me well? Yeah. Right. I wanted to today introduce a little bit another feature that we have in Moodle that you can all use to have more discussions. We can all sense at HCI that you're going to be a very dynamic group. So we figured we'll give you some more tools to have more discussions on everything that you read and hear. And so when you go to Moodle, right, I'm sure all of you have, navigated a little bit in Moodle. So below HWO2 homework, right, I've opened activity called Session 2 Discussion. Everybody can see it, right? Click on that one. And when you click on that, you have add a new discussion topic. Click on that. And I'm just going to write something, right? And these are my thoughts. Right? So these are my thoughts, and I just say post to forum, right? Now I've started a topic. If Anjana ji wants to go in and add something to that, she can click on it, right? And she has the option, I think you can see their reply, right? And she can add whatever she wants. So you have a chain link of comments, right? But if you want to like segue from that topic, you can also say cancel and you can go back and you can start a new discussion. Where did that go? Any questions on that? It's pretty straightforward, right? You can go to, and you can do an add new discussion topic, and you can add, if you're going to segue, but if you're going to stay with the same discussion, just keep saying reply, and then you have a chain link of everybody's comments. Any comments, questions on that one? I'm going to stop sharing. So we figured this is a tool you can use at any time. It's going to be open for all the sessions. Anytime you feel you can add something, just go and add to the discussion. And the faculty also will be following your comments, and we will step in. Faculty will step in as and when the necessities come. Okay. Do you think this is something everybody will enjoy? I want a show of hands. Okay, thank you, thank you. So that's all I wanted to add for now, and I'm going to turn it over to Anjana ji again. Thank you, Anjana ji.
Thank you, Usha ji. Now we will start summarizing, whatever you have from your group meeting that you did during the week. And we are going to start with the first group, which is group number 3.
Sorry to interrupt you. Sorry, can we can I briefly summarize? And I want to introduce Asha ji who's here. So maybe we'll take half an hour at the front end, and then we'll get into the group. Is that okay?
Yes, perfectly.
Thank you, Anjana ji. All right, namaskar, welcome everyone. And I want to briefly give you a summary of today's topic and just sum everything up for you. And I also want to introduce you to my dear friend Asha ji. Asha Shipman ji is here. She's on this call. And I also want to introduce you to her. One second, let me first introduce you to her. So our topic for today is your role in the spiritual care of the future. You watched a fantastic, panel discussion. This is Asha ji, also at Diwali, which is around the time of the year. Asha ji is Director of Hindu Life and Hindu Chaplain at Yale University. There you are in front of the chaplain's office. This is me and Asha ji a few months ago. She earned her advanced degrees from University of Connecticut. She's an experienced educator and she's taught for more than 2 decades at high school and university levels. She's been at the chaplain's office at Yale University, Ivy League, very prestigious, and it's underground right behind this particular photo. And she's been Hindu chaplain full time since 2016, and one of the first Hindu chaplains in the US at all. She is, and she also, of course, runs NACA. She's helped create NACA, North America Hindu Chaplains Association. She's chairperson, and she's also written 2 books as part of that, which is Hindu Approaches to Spiritual Care. And she's also the author of Hindu Chaplaincy in US Higher Education. So those of you that are interested in careers in chaplaincy, well, Asha ji is your best friend here. And I requested her to join this conversation as a result. Asha ji, before I turn it over to you, I'll try to summarize the conversation that people watched over the video beforehand. So let me sum everything up in a few minutes. So we discussed in the recording that you watched the rising need for spiritual care in the society. We reviewed, of course, we reviewed the rise of loneliness. This is a double click from the first session where we kind of looked at it, but not in as much detail. But we looked at what's going on in the society. There's rising loneliness, especially right here, pre-AARP, just right here, a lot of loneliness in the American society. Other societies are similarly all around, and this has a health impact, right? So there is a rising need for spiritual care in the society. And now, of course, there's concern that people are actually, there's more people that are becoming spiritual but not religious. And we discussed reasons behind that. I gave you my interpretation as a yogi of what spirituality is. It comes from the breath. Spirit itself, of course, refers to the breath, but the ability to move the spirit, move the insides, is what had traditionally been done by organized religion in the West, but it can be done outside, as of course the people from the Hindu tradition know. So the move outside of traditional religion to spirituality is actually consistent with the way Hindus look at the world in general. And so we looked at the statistics in the US. The US is decades behind other Western countries and might be ahead of some other countries in the world, those of you watching from other countries. But essentially, there's a decline in the US Christian population. This is Pew Research. Pew projections are that within certainly some of our lifetimes, the majority of Americans will not identify as Christian. And in fact, nuns, those that are without any affiliation, might, if some of us really live long enough, might live to see the day where nuns, people with no religious affiliation, are more than 50% of the population. Reasons are obvious. I discussed this to some degree in the video that you watched, but people don't like organized religion, right? And that's where there is a problem in the society, not just because Hindu diaspora exists, but everyone in the society is finding a gap in the amount of spiritual care they're getting, because previously spiritual care was dispensed on the Friday, Saturday, Sunday sessions that you went to, your temple or a church for, but now where do you go? And so we look at Hinduism, and our HCI's position is that Hinduism is really a kit of tools, a vast spectrum of things that are possible, because we're lived and living tradition, and we are interested in living fully. With that, we looked at length at what spiritual care is. We talked at length, and in fact, the entire panel discussion with Asha ji, Dr. Kamal, Bruce ji, was discussing this particular topic. To summarize, and again, you've seen this slide, the organized religions are somewhat unbundling, and there's a rise of DIY spirituality. And of course, the Hindu and Dharmic traditions tend to be completely unorganized. And so we're kind of meeting in the middle where there is a need to organize, especially in this golden part, which is creating a sense of community around individuals and allowing people to still explore their DIY spirituality, which I think is coming from all directions. So with that said, you play a big role in this, and that role we explored at length in the video that we watched. I'm going to just cut to the chase. Essentially, you are signing up for providing spiritual care, whether as a volunteer or as a qualified chaplain, at institutional or individual settings, but you're not alone. What we're doing is, because we know better, we are self-organizing with so many ways of giving you leverage, which is a businessy term. All it says is you can do 10 times, 100 times what you could previously if you were just working alone. We have a network of experts, we're creating knowledge assets, we're creating service infrastructure, as well as governance and funding, all the stuff that's needed to make everything work. Now, with that said, when you watch the panel discussion, it was really interesting because these are all my friends that were on that panel discussion. Bruce G, he's a lifelong, he's a doctor who served as a chaplain. Dr. Kamal also served as a chaplain, but now is part of the academic fraternity. Asha Ji is here. And of course, Reverend Seifu runs a volunteer, qualified spiritual care network. So he's part of this part of the organization. So a very fascinating panel discussion that you watched. And that was that. And then you watched the discussion, which I hope you had time to watch, 90 minutes of sheer fun. I requested Asha Ji to join us today because she's a great friend. It's always fun to have her here. And she's been excited by all the developments at HCI. So I thought, what better than having her come and meet you. So Asha Ji, I invite you to please talk to us.
Oh, thank you so much, Gaurav Ji. And friends, it is a delight to be here with you. I was not sure what exactly you had been learning. So Gaurav Ji, this is just a really fantastic summary. And Gaurav Ji and I share a love for data as well as stories. I'm an anthropologist by training, and I did a lot of data analysis for my degree. But I also do a lot of data analysis now because I find data helps us understand trends. It helps us understand broad effects through society. And it also, we talk about that concept of loneliness. It also helps us understand, hey, what I'm feeling, other people are feeling. And that's really critical. Chaplaincy is often considered not much of a science, but I actually like to bring a little science into the work. So I think I'm glad that you had a chance to see the panel session. And if you haven't had a chance yet, please do try to. I learned so much from my colleagues. Every time I'm on a panel, I learn much more than I think I'm sharing. It's a wonderful experience. So today, Gaurav Ji has asked me to do is talk a little bit about NACA. Okay, now I can't talk about NACA without talking a little bit about myself, because I want to set the context for the organization existing. So, but to do that, I need to talk about how I got to do what I'm doing. Because in 2012, when I was discussing chaplaincy with my boss, the university chaplain at Yale, I need to share with you that I didn't know what a chaplain was. I really did not know. I went to a college. I went to Mount Holyoke College. I sang in their chapel, mostly Christian religious songs, which I still think are beautiful. So I'm very at home in a Christian chapel. But I also had done bhajans at home, so it wasn't that different. I love music, but I had not experienced the kind of spiritual care that chaplaincy is at its best. So when I had the conversation with my boss, I really wanted to know, what exactly are you talking about? when you say chaplaincy, because that's a very Christian term to me, and I am not Christian. I'm Hindu, and you're looking for a Hindu chaplain. But so what is this? And her response was that it's an investment in the flourishing of the person who you're working with. It's an investment in helping them discover what they need to flourish, what drives them, what nourishes them, what resources they might benefit from, what they can bring to communities that they belong to. So and her model is radical hospitality, which is basically we feed everybody, and I love that. As a Hindu, I love that, right? So I was very much drawn in by this. I was also drawn by the idea that I could be the person who I really wished I had when I was a college student. I love academia. I say I live in academia, not America. I live in academia because I love the intellectual curiosity. I love the creativity on these campuses. And I really enjoy the vibe on campuses. And Gauravji, it was such a pleasure to host you at Yale for the slingshot visit we had. But you can really feel it. But whatever community you love, to be able to work in that space and to be able to help people feel that sense of belonging, that sense of connection, that sense of I can be a full flowering of myself. I can use the spiritual practices of my tradition to invigorate, to lift the work that I do, and to help me keep going. To me, that just is a privilege. It really, and so I like to say I serve as the Hindu chaplain for Yale University. I serve as somebody who walks alongside other people. And I work at Yale, so let's be honest. I have a good platform, and my own truth is that when I see something that I think works really well, that's valuable, that can be of benefit to other people, I want them to know about it. I want them to also perhaps partake of that, whatever gems and I find, and whether they're people, right, like our leaders here, or whether they are practices like pranayama, right, like meditation, like the chanting, right, all of these things, many of which have sustained millions of people around the world through the pandemic. I want them to have that. So in 2016, I'd been at Yale for almost 3 years. I embarked on a research project to find out who's offering spiritual care to Hindus on campuses, who's out there, because in 2013, there were only a few of us, and I wanted to know what was happening for college students in particular, since that's my domain, and who's doing it. And slowly I had my Excel spreadsheet, I had the data set, right? And I was looking at the numbers and I was trying to figure out who are they serving? How many people on these campuses? Is it somebody who's trained? How are they trained, right? So, and talking with my colleagues about their training and their experiences going through their seminary programs or their divinity school or et cetera, et cetera. And I thought, I need to help expand this care. I need a way to amplify this work, because I see my students coming into my office and they're drooping, they're full of all the burdens, and they sit with me and we talk, and they literally look inches taller when they leave. They come into our prayer room and I say, just let everything go. Like what Gaurav, the beautiful introductory meditation and breathing exercise, right? Let everything go. It'll be there for you when you need it, or even if you don't need it, it'll be there. But let all that go and let's be together. So nurturing a community, nurturing a space where we can gather and we can pray, we can do yoga, we can listen to people who are invited speakers talk about gratitude from their particular sampradaya within Hinduism, whatever it is. We can learn the pranayama practices. So I set about the way I nurtured my own Yale Hindu community, I wanted to nurture more people who could do this work. So I have mentored a number of people. I have spoken across the country with people who work in spiritual care and who want to support their Hindu communities, whether they're in higher education, in healthcare, in military settings, in corrections, in community. We have a lot of grief and loss right now. We have a lot of loneliness. Gauravji has given you all the statistics. I have statistics too. I don't need to share those with you right now because my statistics and his align very well. The one statistic I will share with you is that a majority of young adults do not feel like they have a trusted older person who they can feel connected with and who they can share their innermost feelings with. And when they do, they definitely feel better about life. There's statistics that support that. And so in nurturing Hindu chaplains, through first my Excel spreadsheet and then the formation of NACA, it's nurturing our communities, right? The beloved souls who we are connected with and who we just haven't met yet, right? We don't know until we sit with them. So NACA exists because my colleagues in Hindu chaplaincy, my beloved dear brother, Vineet Chandra at Princeton, brother at Georgetown, Brahmacharji, my sister Preeta at Tufts, other sisters and brothers, we want to have more of this spiritual care for our Hindu communities in North America. And through NACA, we've been able to offer a great deal of professional development. So I just want to tell you a little bit about the professional development opportunities, but I also want to tell you about something coming up. So our professional development has included webinars where we've talked about many, many different topics having to do with Hinduism and the current situations we face today. So for example, our first webinar was the Dharma of democracy, looking at Dharma, looking at our United States democratic system. I had Padma Kuppa, who was the first Hindu American representative in the Michigan State House. She's running for Senate to be the first Hindu American in the Michigan Senate. And Murli Balaji, who's been working, he's a communications professor at Penn, but he's also highly involved with political races. We had a beautiful webinar on looking at Hindu iconography and how we can support our students in their own exploration of themselves, how they think of themselves within the context of a family, okay, within sexuality, within their roles in society. So things like this, how we take our traditions and we manifest them. NACA also offers conferences. So, and these are opportunities to dig deeper into a particular subject. So we have talked a lot about social justice because that's a topic that's of deep relevance today. And we've also, our sessions have allowed folks to kind of be in the room, even though they've all been virtual, be in the room when perhaps we talk about, you know, let's roll up our sleeves and talk about what it means to be a hospital Hindu chaplain. What does it mean to be a Hindu chaplain at Princeton? What does it mean to, how do you get your CPE? So a lot of practical conversations, a lot of stories of, you know, in the trenches, this is what it's like, this is what I've encountered. Very practical advice. The other thing that we've done this year, we started running conversation circles, and you may have seen or heard of these because they were very popular. So we had 2 conversation circles running. One was a professional networking conversation circle, and I cannot overemphasize the importance of professional development in terms of the networking, professional networking. The mentorship that you get through these opportunities it's golden. Okay, I do one-on-one mentoring, and and I don't charge you for it. If you're a member of NACA, I will offer you mentorship. And we offer help with gaining credentials if you're looking for more credentials, particularly in healthcare, because that can be tricky. So the conversation circles were professional development, but were professional networking. The other conversation circle we offered took some of our sacred stories and looked at grief as they are represented in some of these sacred stories. Now, this is something that it was helpful for the people who were part of these circles, but also it gave people a toolkit so they could take that back to their community and they could do it too. We want you, if you are part of our professional development, to get skills that you can take back to your communities, right? When I was starting as a Hindu chaplain, I didn't have anything. It was me, my creativity, my parents, my community helping me figure out, okay, how are we, I could run the pujas. That was actually the easy part, but the other parts of it were hard. And so you get a chance, if you're a part of NACA, you get a chance to be on the inside of how the nuts and bolts of that. So I'm going to end by saying that we have a conference coming up, and I'm going to can I put something in the chat? I think I can. Yes. Okay. So I'm going to put a link because I would like all of you to check out our conference. It's a 2-day conference. And again, it's going to be hybrid. This time it's hybrid. We're eager to actually be, I've actually never met all of my board members in person. So I'm super excited about doing this because NACA started in May of 2020. So in the beginning of the pandemic. So this is our conference webpage. Our speakers are amazing. They come from many different spiritual backgrounds, but they are experts in the field and the specifics that they're talking about. And we want to hear from people who have experience and who are well regarded in the field. The first is going to be, our keynote is Kathy Joshi. She's going to talk about white Christian privilege. This is very important for us to recognize and be able to identify and understand how it affects us as we navigate these spaces in this country. Our other key speaker is Melissa Bartholomew from Harvard. She's going to talk about restorative justice. You must know about restorative justice. This is going to be critical in helping us nurture and as a modality for community healing. So please, if nothing else, join us for our keynotes. You will not be disappointed, but we have other amazing speakers and opportunities lined up. So I'm going to stop there. I see that there's some questions. Gaurav Ji, you tell me what you'd like me to do.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Asha Ji. There's a bunch of questions. I will ask Raji Ji. She had a couple of questions she sent me privately. Raji Ji, if you could unmute, turn on your video, and then ask your question.
Thank you, Gaurav Ji. Dr. Shipman, thank you so much for that that whole description of what you do. Couple of questions. My main question is that I want to know, I'm curious to know, what exactly do the students request of you? So when someone is seeking a chaplain, what are some of the common worries, requests that they have, that they bring to you? And the second question is, many of them, in fact, most of the Hindu community don't really know about a Hindu chaplain. So how do you sell, in inverted commas, that idea to the Hindu community?
Yeah, such a great question, because I spend half my time trying to describe Hinduism to non-Hindus and half my time trying to describe chaplaincy to Hindus. So when I intersect with students, most of the time it's at an event that I've organized. The pujas that follow the festival calendar are very popular. So I had 100 people come for Navratri Puja, and we had 180 people come for Ganesh Chaturthi. The numbers are really up. So I introduce myself in the beginning of these events, and I say, you can come and talk with me about anything. I'm a confidential person. I am outside any kind of hierarchy that they or any, I don't grade them, right? I'm not in their residence hall, right? So I'm a very safe person to come see. I'm also, the chaplaincy is at the heart of the university. We're connected to every other part of it. So it doesn't, they don't necessarily even have to have a spiritual question. They might have a question, actually a question I get often asked is, I'm having trouble with food. And I have had students say, I haven't had a decent meal in weeks. And I'm like, okay, and I'm catering this event, and please come and tell me what you love, because I'm going to have it there for you. So it could be something like, I need to know where I can go to get good food. And I usually direct them to our local Hillel, which has wonderful food. Or there are certain dining halls where, like, there's one dining hall has great pizza, you know, things like that. But I also tell them you must eat, so, because they don't want to. And then sometimes they have questions about relationships, because again, these are college students and this is their time to really think about their social roles, right? The relationships that they have with respect to being a daughter, a son, a sister, brother, right? And then friendships and intimate relationships. So how do they navigate that? And often I get questions about, like, I'm Hindu, but I don't understand. There's no talk of social justice in Hinduism. I'm like, okay, you know, or I saw an environmentalism comment there. And so I actually ran a conference on Hindu earth ethics. So they'll come to me and they'll say, this is how I'm feeling, but I don't understand what I'm supposed to feel. And when you reveal the question, it's, am I Hindu enough? Am I okay? Do I belong? Okay. And I'm always like, yes, 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 you are okay. You belong. Let's figure out what is comfortable for you. What is it that calls to you? How are you going to intersect with your spirituality, your religion in a way that feels right? You know, so that's at the heart of a lot of the questions that I get. And you know, there's a lot of students feel like they should X, Y, or Z, right? And I always say, all right, what do you need? Okay, what is it that you need? What you have, when we talk about Dharma, like, what's your inner moral compass steering you towards, right? Let's uncover that. So that's a lot of kind of encompasses a lot of questions that I get.
Can I ask a follow-up question, or
Yeah.
very quick? So that's wonderful in a place where there's a huge Hindu community. So what about second and third generation kids who have absolutely no identification with the Hindu culture?
Well, I have those too. And the Hindu community at Yale has really expanded. People actually know about it, which astounds me. Like, I actually had someone say, oh, I heard there was a Hindu community at Yale, so I wanted to come. I was like blown away by that. I don't have any preconceived expectations for what anybody knows about Hinduism. I'm very clear about that. There's no barrier to entry. And the way I run my programming, so for example, I run a Gita discussion or conversation group, and I run it in a way that you can come in and you could have not even heard of the Gita and you can participate. It's all about how they're doing. It's when you make it central to them and you ask, hey, you know, what is it that you love about your family traditions? What is the food you're missing? We're going to do an Amar Chitraktha event. What are the stories that you remember as a child? Maybe they had none of these, but maybe their friend says, hey, I'm going to the Hindu Students Organization event. We're going to make clay Ganeshas. You know, that's usually how they intersect. And the community is so welcoming. I don't know how this happened, but I've always said to people, you know, you're loved no matter what. You're welcome no matter what. You don't have to dress up. You don't have to do anything but be you. And I feel like that's actually gained a lot of traction, and it's bringing a lot of people in who might not have otherwise. because I so firmly believe in that. And I believe in the community too, in being able to hold other people now.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ashaji. There are questions relating to how to become a university chaplain. So
Yep.
I was going to ask Kailash if you could, if you could describe the ICP pathway, and then Ashaji, since we're all friends with GTU, you could describe to us how someone does interreligious chaplaincy and then goes on to become a chaplain at a university. So Kailash, if you're, I can't see you. Oh, there you are. Yes. Kailash, there you are. Yes.
I just popped in. I've been listening with a lot of interest, and thank you, Ashaji, for coming in and giving your perspective. You know, the great thing that has happened in the last 5 years since we started HCI is that a few other things happened. I think the NACA is one of the happenings. You know, the coming together of the very few handful of Hindu chaplains that are around in this country, in North America, around the world, actually. So they formed which is a good start. And now the question is, how do we multiply that number by orders of magnitude in a very high speed? And that's where HCI comes in. Yeah. We have a determined effort to train at least 108 Hindu chaplains in the next 3 to 5 years. We just have 10 right now in the pipeline. And I'll tell you how you go into the pipeline. And we are delighted that we also are funding them with scholarships. Every one of the people that has gone in has been funded by the community, HCI, and some donors. So it's a wonderful, wonderful happening in the Hindu community. And these people are from Australia also, by the way. So this is not just a North America phenomena we are starting. Our CSD, this class right now has people from 8 countries. So we just think this is a very latent kind of a demand in the community that we are basically beginning to address. So coming to the specific question of how do you become a Hindu chaplain, HCI probably can take a lot of credit for that, because we opened a relationship with GTU, which is a graduate theological union, that is the Harvard of theology, I think by all accounts, at least from what we have gathered. We're at Berkeley. They recognized our CSD course and said, look, you're teaching very similar stuff that we teach here for chaplaincy. Why don't we get your graduates to come in and take on this ICP, Interreligious Chaplaincy Program, which is a brand new program started 2 years ago. This is a non-Christian, non-denominational, secular humanity it's kind of a dream chaplaincy program, if you will. So suddenly we said, wait a minute, the people don't have to go through the Christian rigmarole that used to be in the past, which frustrated a lot of people that we know who wanted to become chaplains and gave up because they did not want to go through the acumen and the protocols and the hierarchy of the Christian faith. I mean, not criticizing that, but it has its own complexities from a Hindu perspective. So, but we are happy that we have, for the first time, a very clear pathway to become a Hindu chaplain. And we want to get to 108. So if you do a CSP course or a HCP course at HCI, and if you have a PhD or a master's degree in any field from an accredited university, you are an eligible candidate for admission to the ICP course at GTU. We will recommend you, we will encourage you, and we may even get you a fellowship money to complete this education. It can be done in 15 months. I think one of our first champions, Nitiji, she's finishing it in a record 18 months, for example. She's one of the amazing performers with 3 or 4 things simultaneously. But 2 to 3 years, everybody should be able to do it. If you have the desire to do it, then there is some practical training ahead of that, and we can get into that detail. So if you have any interest, complete the CSP course, and then we'll encourage you to enter the chaplaincy program. Gauravji, does that address?
Thank you, Kailash. Ashaji, so after the GTU program, what steps to, how can NACA help people become university chaplains?
Yeah, so there are job openings that we learn about, and I actually am on a search committee for one university So it's helpful to be part of DACA because you learn about job opportunities very quickly. And with the other part of what I'm trying to do through NACA is to lift the university's understanding of the need to pay chaplains rather than have them serve as a volunteer capacity. So one of the challenges, and I've given talks at different chaplaincy conferences, is that Christian chaplains, often they'll have a church that pays for their presence on a campus. And for Hindu chaplains, that is not the case. So more and more, I've been pushing the hiring managers at these institutions and saying, look, you cannot compare. So you must hire Hindu chaplains to the university. Now, this is something that often isn't discussed, but again, this is part of the nuts and bolts of belonging to NACA. You learn a lot about how you negotiate once you you see an opportunity, because often we don't know, right? We don't know the environment we're entering into. So we do have more and more job opportunities that are coming into view. They just hired someone at Wellesley just a few months ago. We had a full-time hire at Emory, and I foresee more. I see a lot in the healthcare industry as well. The professional networking that you do includes at the conferences, people come who are hiring managers, right? So they find out all the benefits of hiring a Hindu chaplain. I don't have to be the person who's, the person who's going to all these other conferences. I invite them to come to ours. We also do find that the interactions between our members helps people when they're applying for jobs. So it helps them prep for their interviews. And there are, I will say, like Kailashji, I really think that I agree with you. GTU is tremendous. And this idea of an interreligious chaplaincy course is really crucial, because I have spent a lot of time talking with Hindus who've taken coursework through Christian divinity spaces or the seminaries, and it's not always been a good experience for them. So at NACA, we really have been also pushing for this, getting an interreligious chaplaincy degree. Now, somebody might say, well, why do I have to do that? Why do I need another? Your ability to be on par with your colleagues once you are in the job is critical. So to have some kind of training and credentialing like that is important. You really need to have that in an academic space. Academic credentials matter. So, and similarly in a hospital space, they're going to require different kinds of credentialing, but that's what they recognize. So it is really important because then they'll understand that you have the theological grounding, you have the pastoral care grounding, okay? You have an understanding of what it's like to work in an interfaith or multi-faith space. So,
Guruji, if I may, I'd like to add just a short comment on that.
Okay.
I think the question of vocation, employment, income, all are, to me, very secondary for Hindu chaplains, because we are zero. In the chaplaincy world, on the chaplaincy table in the world, there are no Hindus virtually. There may be 3 or 4 or 5. Okay. So you're talking about starting at zero and the demand being infinite, as far as I'm concerned. There's a corporate chaplaincy corporation that started service with 1,500 chaplains on call, by the way. All the companies are now signing up chaplaincy services for their employees and their families, because there's a huge amount of distress, post-pandemic, suicidal issues, loneliness, all kind of problems. So chaplaincy services are going to be ubiquitous, required infinitely everywhere. And in every element, Hindus bring the biggest portfolio of tools of spiritual care that anyone can offer. So you can draw your own conclusion from there as to the opportunity for a Hindu chaplain. I just want to add that point to you. It is a great opening that is happening around the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Kailash. Ashaji, one final question. Sorry, I know we're holding you back. It's late. Nandita ji has a question. Nandita ji, would you like to unmute and ask the question directly, or would you like me to read it out for you? Go ahead, please.
I think you can read. Basically, what I was asking Ashaji is there was an incident in a local community college here where some of the Hindu students felt that they were targeted, especially in this just before Navratri. They wanted to put up something. So has this experience been narrated to you from some other students across, especially at Yale or anywhere else? Have you heard that people feel a little shy of coming out openly as a practicing Hindu, especially students?
It's a great question, Nandita. Thank you for asking it. Yes, I do think that because of the social, in the United States, in the larger culture, right, we're facing anti-Asian hate crimes. So it's not just the students, it's the faculty too, who are feeling very concerned about being publicly Hindu. And at Yale, I haven't had that occur, that to my knowledge. I'm just going to put a caveat there, because even though I'm the Hindu chaplain, I do not know everything that's happening with our Hindu community. So I haven't had that happen at Yale. It has happened on other college campuses. I'm sure that you're aware of issues at Rutgers and also at Tufts. And at other institutions. I think where there is, and you know, to me, it's similar to anti-Semitism.
Right.
I have lots of conversations with my very beloved Jewish chaplain because we face similar challenges. In those cases, the role of a Hindu chaplain is critical because we're community builders and we are there to offer healing. Often organizations have, they'll have a strategy for trying to punish or for trying to force some sort of reconciliation, but or there's a legal, something that happens legally, but there's no healing. And that's why, and that's part of the reason why I really would encourage you to learn more about restorative justice, because, and this is going to be our Sunday topic at our conference, because we are really concerned about what happens when these kinds of incidents occur. Where's the healing? Where's that? How is that going to happen? Because these students feel terrible, right? They feel scared, they feel targeted, they feel uncomfortable. They don't want, they might not want to participate and have their celebrations. They might want to say, oh, I'm not going to poster it. And then, and then people don't find out about it. That's not what you want. It's really not what you want. So there needs to be a mechanism for healing individually and also for the community. And it has to be double pronged. So yes, it is something that I'm well aware of and have been consulting with other campuses on how to even begin the conversations, right? Because sometimes they're like, oh, I don't want to talk about it. Well, my dear hearts, we need to talk about it.
So this is a whole new concept of chaplaincy that came, you have elaborated on. I never thought that advocacy would be a part of this, but great to know that. Thank you.
Yeah, I also offer mental health training on my campus. So I have a diverse portfolio of things that I do, but they all correspond to flourishing.
Thank you.
Ashaji, thank you very much. I really appreciate, we've really enjoyed our time together with you. Thank you once again, and good luck with the conference. And I look forward to seeing everyone at the conference.
Thank you. And I'm going to put my email address down because I would like you to feel free to email me. Yes, that is it. If you have any further questions, okay? Because I mean, I do mentor.
Thank you, Ashaji.
Take good care, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank
Anjana ji, over to you. Thank you for giving us the time, Anjana ji.
Thank you. Thank you, Ashaji. Thank you, Gauravji. So we are going to start with summarizing, and I'll start with the group number 3. which is India, Jayashree ji. So you have 3 minutes to, finish. So please be prompt, and I will just show up like a thumbs up sign when it's almost your time. Thank you. Jayashree, you can go ahead.
And I think Shamanji has her hand up, so might have a question.
Shamanji, you can ask your questions. Are you there, Shamanji?
Might be fiddling with the mute unmute thing.
Oh,
So-
okay. Yeah, Jayashree ji, you can start
Jayashree ji,
here.
please.
I don't know if she's here or no.
I see.
You're mute. Jayashree ji, you're mute. We can't hear you. Sorry.
Now,
Yes, we can hear you now.
am I audible now?
Yes.
You're audible now.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Once more, namaste to all. I'm from Group 3 India. So we watched all the videos and we fully endorse what Dr. Kamal said, that we should be careful not to push our faith to others, at the same time trying to be available to everyone who needs support without taking advantage. Compete with others for goodness. Now, what we felt about this was, all of us, that because we are not an organized religion yet, the chances of our forcing faith on others is very remote. This is mainly because, like how Raji just pointed out, our present generation, and even most of us belonging to the Hindu community, don't know much about Hinduism. So unless we know what we stand for, what is it we are going to force on other people? Next thing, and then what Kamalji said about recognizing differences so that we will be able to appreciate them. Then, as Dr. Ashaji said, there's a rising need for spiritual care in campuses also. The students, they feel that they need someone who will accept them as they are without imposing religion, their prejudices, etc. in their interactions. And the best part we liked about Chaplain Bro's talk was about gratitude, being grateful to everything we have. Only then we will feel like being service to others. As he said, unexpressed gratitude is a source of suffering. Now, but how to be grateful and to whom is what some or most of us may not know. I happened to read a book a few years back when I was at Raji's place, which gives some hints about how we can practice gratitude. To make it very brief, the first thing, one small way would be that when you get up in the morning, thank God for being alive. The next one, thank your bed for being soft and cozy and giving you a good night's sleep. Then thank the blanket for keeping us warm the whole night, and so on. So you can be thankful for very small things. I think it is a very simple way to start showing our gratitude. And that will make us feel more like doing something for others also. And one last thing, Raji of Group 9 is the reason I'm here and able to attend this wonderful session. I thank her with lots of love. She is my own younger sister. And I thank you all and each and every one of you for hearing me out patiently. Thank you.
Thank you, Jayashree ji. The next, to go is Kaleji from South Africa, Group 4.
Namaste, everybody. Okay, we looked at spiritual care, we watched the videos, but I am going to deliver from the perspective that compassionate presence is a fundamental component of being able to be a spiritual, to be able to give spiritual care. So I'm representing a 6-strong female team. The common thread is that we are Hindu women of Indian origin, but of different generations and career types. And I'm emphasizing career types because for me personally, I feel that our work environment shapes us into the people that we become. So I'm speaking on behalf of an engineer stroke mathematician dancer. We have a lady who's from the legal field. I am a chemist stroke teacher. We have a medical doctor, an alternate healer, and a dancer. So the parallels we drew when answering the questions for me was very astounding. We drew parallels when answering what a compassionate presence is, in that we reviewed the difference between sympathy, empathy, and then we decided that empathy is a component of compassionate presence. I'm just going to share a few thoughts that I jotted down while we spoke. So compassionate presence is action-oriented. It's identifying what someone is going through and supporting them, either silently, emotionally, physically, or spiritually. It's a sacred or spiritual encounter, being conscious and giving our full attention, listening to what their source of comfort is and using that as a starting point. It's another opinion was just being present, listening without judgment, feeling and knowing what is needed at that time. Another one, listening to what is needed and using that to achieve common ground, and then transitioning. And it can be as little as what Bruce G said, just breathing with the person, because we all know that breathing can help clear a cloudy mind. The last one I'm going to share with you is moving through our stuff. I don't like the word baggage, but I couldn't find a better word than baggage. So moving through our stuff to bring ourselves into a state of being. To be in a state of preparedness so that the receiver feels enveloped in a loving, supportive, non-judgmental space. I want to share 3 examples from our discussion that really got me. So there was one example where Pooh Bear is sitting with his friend, either Piglet or Eeyore, who's not feeling very well. And he's just sitting and having a cup of tea. So that's a beautiful example of him being a compassionate presence. The other one was where one of our ladies in her dancing capacity, dance teacher, having a conversation with someone who has an autoimmune condition that impacts her joints. And her simple words of, you know what, we will just work with what we have. And the manner in which it was received by the other lady was an example of her being a compassionate presence to this lady wanting to engage in the dance. And then lastly, my own one. I know we're speaking of being a presence to human beings, but I want to share an experience from home. My 14-year-old dog child, and she's what the Americans would call a mutt, because she's so far from pedigree, but we in South Africa call them either trolley dogs or pavement specials. So Pebbles had a stroke about 3 weeks to a month ago. And just as we had brought her home from the vet, and she just wanted to be inside the house and she wanted to be loved. So in our family, the 3 of us just sitting around her, my Ruhan is 10 years old, and then he took a book and he was reading. So in that example, my Pebbles was a recipient of compassionate presence. I believe that's all I have to add. And I thank you for your ears. Namaste.
Thank you, Kaleji, beautifully presented. And I really appreciate that, that's a very late night for you, maybe very, very early morning. And from South Africa, people are joining. It's really appreciate, the effort. And the next is group 9, Raji ji.
Thank you, Anjanaji. Thanks to my sister Jayashree and Kaleji for your comments. I'll just say what wasn't said before. So Jagjit ji and I had a rather short discussion, but basically the concept that we are all spirit by nature is what Jagjit ji brought about. And he talked about how we impart that spiritual knowledge to, preferably, especially to the next generation. One of the thoughts I had about it is that, first of all, Hindus don't have, well, not just Hindus, nowadays, a lot of people don't have any real spiritual education. There's no compulsion to learn. There's no need to understand in their regular lives. And then even those who do know something, especially with the Hindu religion, what you know will be so different from what anybody else practices. So because the practices and the beliefs and the traditions are all so widely different. One concern I had that I brought up with Jagjit was that, you know, when a person is not really very spiritual in their lives already, or even if they are spiritual, when they're actually going through a physical, emotional, or any kind of a problem, spirituality is probably the last thing on their minds. They don't often want to hear anything about the spirit. So then what do we do? And I am a palliative care physician. So what Kamalji said absolutely resonated with what we do. So you go into somebody's house, let me just find that page. So honoring another person starts with basic questions. Who is this person before me? What are their needs? And how can I serve them? And I think the basic concept here is meeting them and starting from where they are in their life, in their spiritual, in whatever their needs are. So understanding and then walking with them from that point forwards, not trying to grab them and make them reach where you are at. That doesn't work, and that doesn't is not a definition for compassion at all. Bruce G's in fact, all the videos, there was so much practical day-to-day wisdom in that. I'm not going to repeat all of it, but I found, you know, I could identify with most of it. And the other thing is about the unexpressed gratitude being a sort of suffering is something that I never thought about before. So that really struck a chord with me. So I'll stop there. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rajiji. Thank you. If anybody has any question, you can post it on the chat window and Gauraji will take it.
Also, please use the reactions liberally to clap and cheer everyone along.
Yes, thank you. Next is group 5, Tirnaji from South Africa.
Namaste all. I represent a group of 3 women based in South Africa in Durban. And we brainstormed this session, and this is our taking from the session. We found that with the changing world, there's an exponential need and rise for spiritual care, and there's a growing need, and also this gap is getting wider and wider. So we saw the importance of chaplaincy in this growing need. The world is coming apart, industries are coming apart, friendships are being destroyed. And social media is adding to this. It's not bringing any comfort to people. By watching posts and reading posts on social media, people are becoming jealous. There's anger triggered in people. There's a lot of competition, which children, students cannot keep up with. And this is leading to a rise in loneliness. And loneliness leads to sleep disorders, substance abuse, lack of energy, vitality. And this has major physical and psychological impact on all of us. In the West, Christianity is on the decline. People are seeking a more fulfilling life and moving towards peace. Hinduism has the tools for this peace that people are seeking. Tools like yoga, meditation, pranayam, storytelling. These are all philosophies. And spiritual hunger remains. People continue to seek to find this inner peace. Spiritual care heals the spirit and society by being of service to others. It's about dealing with people's hardship, giving people hope, giving people the faith to continue. There seems to hunger exists for spiritual care, and there seems to be a lack in the spiritual care. The Western society is a very closely organized community that's living in a bubble which is slowly falling apart. The Hindu society was always unbundled, and help comes from everywhere. We don't necessarily go to a temple to pray. We pray anyway. We believe that the temple resides in our heart. Hindus have a lower power distance. the lower possibility of abuse, and greater spiritual care. We provide spiritual care as chaplains, as Hindu chaplains. We will provide spiritual care in institutions, corporate, schools, prisons, and the community at large. We need to understand the context of our service and our limitations of what we can serve. We need to have access to a host of experts. We identify the need and we provide an enveloping service. We need to ensure safety and continuity and always be reachable. Care must be handled with confidentiality and care must be auditable. We need to have a vast network of people with knowledge. We need to have access to all kinds of people in order to assist. During the pandemic, we experienced what compassionate presence means. The pandemic brought minds and hearts together. We saw people rallying together to provide food, medicines, medical care, and most importantly, emotional support. We do not live in a vacuum. We have an interfaith life every day. We negotiate with laws, ethics, and the environment. We join to affirm our humanity. There should be no extremism. We should not be pushing our religion onto the people that are seeking help. We must talk about differences for the sake of understanding, otherwise there will be no respect. We all look to grow and learn more on spirituality and faith. We are moved and motivated by the experience of others. And this is so true for me. I serve a lot in the community and I'm always taking out learning experiences from others. And I'm always left with, filled with gratitude when I serve. We found that Christians lack the experience to serve the minority faith, and yet Hindu chaplains will fill the space easily. Respect and ethics is vitally important in chaplaincy. We need not be judgmental. We need to compete for goodness, but ultimately serve compassionately. We must recognize and appreciate the difference and not dissolve the uniqueness of people. We found there's a need for mentors, that this is important for students, as this is a very exhausting and uncertain time in their life. There's an increase in anxiety and depression among students. As students move out of home to study abroad, they feel alienated and they need to reach out to someone. We need to, in order to have an interest in a student, we need to have deep listening skills. It's important to listen. We found that the Generation Z are very diverse in all aspects of life. They have very little trust in religious institutions. They require guidance and have few adults that they can reach out to for help. Hindu chaplaincy is attached to culture and not religion. This is very attractive to the younger generation, as they are still in a very exploratory path and have no wish to follow a religious path, but rather to seek spirituality. Chaplains are less attached to religion, and students take easily to chaplains. Previously, people connected to each other on a one-on-one basis, but now we find technology has taken this personal contact away. There's no longer that deep conversations and understanding. We find even people sitting a few desks away from us at work, we are communicating via emails. We lack that one-on-one interpersonal relationship. It's important to listen for what matters most for the person seeking assistance, to be present for them. Our chief concern is listening, and we need to hear and hold what's dear to their heart. And we found that there are 3 distinct stages of engagement. You have to give them your full attention, and you have to set an intention with what you intend doing. Once you enter into the conversation with the person seeking assistance, during this time of engagement, something's triggered to assist. And you need to find what is that trigger, what do you need to assist them with? And you always exit, leaving something tangible, maybe a card, a token, something for the person seeking assistance that can ponder over.
Energy.
Thank you. This is where I end. Thank you.
Yeah, we can talk forever. It's such an interesting topic, right?
It is. It was.
Thank you so much. Yeah, appreciate it. So next we will go with group 10, Binduji.
Namaste, everybody. We are group 10 HCP group. We are a strong group of 3 women, and the 2 other participants were in India last week, so I got to represent. And this week, one was traveling back and one is already here. So we were, I think, in 3 time zones. So I get to represent my group again. We heard a great discussion, and I'm going to add something to it. One of them is all 3 of us agreed that if we were in a position where we need a compassionate listener, if we needed a chaplain in our life, Bruce G would be an ideal person. We would be very comfortable with him because he's a great listener. The other points we discussed was compassionate presence is about meeting the person where he or she is and providing that presence without any judgment, allowing things to fold as is. Know a little bit about that person, his or her situation, that you are going to meet that person with their needs. The perspective should be about that person, not about what we bring in a basket of knowledge and learning or our traditions. Listen, ask the person what that person wants. Explain to that person what your plan is. Go step by step and take their permission before you carry out the plan. Before leaving, based upon the encounter, provide a written prescription. One of the great things we heard about is doctor writes a prescription, a spiritual guide can say, here's another prescription, a blessing or a prayer from me to you. Bruce G showed that with his card, and that was a great tip that we all should try to inculcate in our daily lives, I feel. We don't have to be a chaplain to carry that forward. Uplifting somebody spiritually is more like listening to somebody, how your day is, what's going on in their life. A lot of us like to talk. We have few listeners and lives. We enjoyed the entire discussion panel. We listened to everyone, and like I said, all 3 of us came to the conclusion that in a moment of crisis, who we would want to go to. His approach and his process was universal. It was always about the person in front of him. It was never about himself. He only wished to walk along beside the person he was helping, and we all thought that was really beautiful. So I would end with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Binduji. It was wonderful. And thank you for keeping the time. It's really nice. We can save some time for, some more questions. So next is group 6, US, Malaji.
Namaste, everyone. This is Mala Sethi, and I represent Group 6 along with Nandita ji and Anurag ji and Sangeeta ji. We too had a great discussion. I just want to move the conversation forward and cover possibly topics that haven't been covered so far. One of the things we talked about was within our own small social networks, we may, being in this CHT program, we may not go off to become chaplains in hospitals or universities, but within the context of our own little groups, how is it that we have either tasted, that is received compassionate presence, or how is it that we have inadvertently, without giving it that label, given it to someone else? So we came up with several interesting stories in each of our lives, and how friends have come to us at times of death, how they have given us of their presence, how they have helped us practically, be it with food or, or driving to a doctor, accommodations back in India. I mean, it's all people helping as needed, and how we have benefited from that, and how grateful we are, and how the universe actually responds to, in a kind of a unplanned way, to the present problem, and how everyone comes together. So we appreciated all that about life itself. And in terms of what it takes to be a compassionate presence in the lives of others, we covered what, in a way, Seifuji termed it as spiritual, but also religious, because all of us drew within our own religious context. We drank from those very well springs that would feed us of our spiritual hunger, that would inspire us so that we can be of presence to others. These included, of course, yoga, pranayama, reading, YouTube videos. And for some of us, it's been gone beyond Hinduism, where we have looked at mystical literature from around the world. And also what I would call psycho-spirituality. What about the psychological aspects of how the ego relates to the self? So these are some of the things we discussed and we thought about, and I'll leave it at that. I'm sure there'll be a lot more to cover by others. So, namaste.
Thank you, Malaji. Amazing. I know I've seen your videos and reposted, and it's really amazing videos that you have made, and you do have quite good knowledge about our Hindu scriptures, and thank you. So let's go for our next Saurabh-ji. You can go ahead. Thank you.
Hi, namaste. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, yes. Saurabh-ji, you're the reverse of how we like children. They are to be seen and not to be heard. But in your case, you're being seen but not, you're being heard but not seen.
So yeah, I have come out. So sorry for that. I'll just start. So first of all, Suprabhatam to everybody. We had a discussion last evening with 3 of our group members, me, Binayji, and Garimaji. So I'll first tell about Garimaji's experience. So she has worked with elderly people in UK, and she is aware of how much loneliness and depression those elderly people feel when they have to live by their own. She was explaining that they look out for people who reach out to them, which generally happens to be mailman or once a week a social worker. So that experience of seeing them changed Garimaji's viewpoints regarding this whole spiritual care aspect. Binayji also gave inputs to the whole discussion about how we can use the tools in our scriptures to help others. He talked mainly about Vasudevam Kutumbakam. That is, the world is a one family. So we as Hindus have this feeling that we don't have any prejudice when we go and assist people or help people who are in need of this kind of spiritual care or compassionate care. The panel discussion was also very interesting. I really like Kamalji's explanation of the importance of asking basic questions to be able to say break ice and understand what kind of help exactly the person we are trying to assist needs. When it comes to Bruce G, the way he explained about the whole setup, how to prepare yourself before entering the zone and using different tools, understanding, listening, and how to end the session by using the card. So the whole all the techniques he mentioned were very helpful and interesting. So these were the discussions we had. We are still learning, and there are a few points which we are confused about. Listening to others, and Gauravji and the panel is helping us. So yeah, I would like to conclude there.
Thank you, Saurabh.
Thank you, Saurabh. Wonderful. We have next is Lokeshji. Do you have any questions? Please put it on the chat window. Thank you.
Namaskar, everybody. I'm representing Sydney Group 2. We have 4 really experienced and diverse variety of people. And today only we came to know we have people who are already serving to community from last 25, 30 years in Sydney. And we have one spiritual writers as well within our group. So it's really good to know about many people. Right now, Group 2 is a little bit behind in the learning and completing the activities on Moodle, but we are catching up very soon. We had a really good discussion about one of the problem where we lost, or where we lost our spirituality or spirituality of Hinduism way in last 100 years, and what was the reason, how it was liquidated, or how it was like thin in overall. So a lot of agitation was happening in India during that time, and partition was happening, and because of that, a lot of people movements were happening, and all those things basically impacted our spirituality and our knowledge sharing among us and to the next generation. So for an example, like we are, if you see, we are the first generation, our first independent generation. It means our parents or our previous generation was facing a lot of stability related issues when Britishers were going out of India, and a lot of things were happening during that time period. Our previous generation didn't get a chance to teach us the spirituality and the way and the life about Hindus, and how we matured in that life. What we learn about from the various kind of various kind of setups from which were like commercial setups, like and TVs and medias and all those things. So our learning was not happening properly, and this is a really good platform that thanks to Kailashi, Gauravji, and overall community, that we are bringing back. And this is the beauty of Hinduism. That's why we are surviving from millions of thousands of millions of years, starting from Sri Krishna or before Shiva's, because we face Pralay and we come back, and that's why we are always surviving, whatever the reason, whatever the things are there. So in one of the discussion with Updeshi, we were talking about what we are giving to the next generation is very important. Are we giving them back the richness of our spirituality, our connectivity? This is very much important. So this is one of the area that where we were discussing more on the topic. Another thing that a topic was what Hinduism is a religion, or it's a way of life, or it's a way of living. How should we introduce ourselves to the people, because a lot of misconceptions are there around the world. Apart from that, how to reach out to the people. If you are going to reach out to the people directly, because a lot of multi-level marketing and these kind of things actually spoil the way how we connect the people, because those are commercializing the things. If we are going and talking to somebody unknowingly, like we don't know somebody, and on the way to office, or just talking to them, trying to connect with them, the first thing will come in their mind: why this person is coming to me? Why this connecting to me? Is it some commercial? Is it a MBA person? Is it a multi-level marketing person? So these kind of the things, these are the challenges where people are still very conscious about connecting to other human beings. So these are the things that we talk about that, and I would like to share one of the question can be asked. So Shishirenduji has asked this question: Hinduism is about being compassionate with each and every particle of the universe. Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina, Sarve Santu Niramaya. Is it relevant to adopt the other ways rather than propagating our own ways of Vedic ways of compassion? So that's a question came from Shishirendraji, might be can be answered from one of the panel member.
Yes, Gauravji can answer that, I guess.
Let me hold this question to the end because I want to hear.
Yeah.
everything.
Okay. I will post. I will post this question on the chat box so that
Sure.
you can read it and get the sense. So yeah. So in short, Sydney 2 team is right now settling down, and because we just got 1 week and we are meeting each other, we are setting a cadence among us, and but we are learning a lot from this group about how vast we are, and how big we are, how mature and rich we are in terms of our overall culture and community. So thanks to everybody, and I will just conclude here.
Thank you, Lokeshji. Yes, Gauravji will take up your question, and if we save some time, we'll definitely have some open discussion in the end. Next is Rajeshji from Australia.
Jai Shri Ganesh. Namaste to every scholars. I'm Rajesh Ji and I'm representing Group 3 from Sydney. I got very talented 3 scholars with me, Hemani Ji, Niranjana, Benji, or Sima Ji. Going straight away on the relevance of the context of our session, spiritual care. We have discussed, and we think that commitment, ownership, and acceptance with ethics is very important. We have a religion. Hinduism has been there for ages. It has been our desire, our choice to move to this Western way of living, and we have drifted away with this. And we always blame that, oh, we don't have religion. We have religion over there, but how we take it, how we follow it. And it has been said that our society, in the slides I have seen, our society is our environment. So if we maintain a good, healthy, clean society, that's going to produce a safe and pure environment for us. And me personally, I think that the frame of Hinduism is very broad. If you look at it, the tradition is still there, and if we keep on following it, and we should target a group that is already affiliated with it, so we can promote, we can develop, we can get bigger, with that. If we keep on focusing on the sad side of the tradition, like people are suffering, we have to give them advices and brief and things, but we have to have associate with our good part of the society. So we have more people in there who understand, who can promote more of our understanding to the people who are in there. That's what we have discussed. And my group was also saying about the challenges that we are focusing. And I think if there is challenges, every challenge comes with an opportunity that gives us success with hope and faith. That's something that Hemani was highlighting from our group, and I think it's very, very important for us to focus on. And there was a very good example that Gauravji said about this taxi driver and Uber issue, and I'm very much with it. The taxi driver knows the principle, he knows the routine of the customer with the system and the method, and the delivery is done with the offering, without the customer telling the driver. Oh, you sit there, he knows the thing, and the driver drops you to your location, to your destination. But now we have multiple Uber services, but without that, we have, that was very, very good, and it's very current. So I was very much with that, and being with the spiritual side of it, we dress to the occasion. You have to present yourself. You are there. Put yourself in other shoes. That was one of those very good slide that I saw from the chaplain that came, Bruce, I think his name was. And when you get out of the shoes, leave the socks in there as a token, as a remembrance that somebody has done something for that. It's a gift. You don't have to buy a nicely wrapped thing, but just a small gesture adds a lot of feeling to somebody who's suffering at the end of part of the thing of the life of the society or the people that you're dealing with. And I said, as we have a solid foundation, there'll be a nice structure on it with a good shelter, and definitely there'll be peace. we can talk on this and can keep on going, but I think that the previous speaker from group 2, he finalized a lot of things that we were supposed to be saying, and hopefully the next will cover as well. And with that, all the best to everyone, and
Thank
Thank you, Rajesh.
Well said, well said. And you will feel that change, and you will see the lot of changes after you finish the HCI, counselor course, because a lot to learn from this. Thank you.
Proud to having a solid foundation and a platform as HCR. Thank you.
Thank you. So next in the line is Vaishali ji from Australia again.
Yes, namaste everyone. We are group Victoria 2. So I've got Mahesh Poddar ji, Amruta ji, and Shripad ji in my group. And we obviously have a little bit of discussion always before we start this session. And obviously the definition of compassion is, which means the feeling that arises when you see someone in suffering, and and then you feel motivated to help them. And that's what is obviously, because what we are going to do as a in chaplaincy is going to help someone who's going to need this. So it's the feeling that we're going to look at, we're going to see others, and that's going to sort of we will feel motivated to do it, and we're going to it's going to come from within. Now, one of our group members, she pointed it out, compassion is it has two perspectives, like an inward compassion and an outward compassion. And what she said is you got to have the inward, you have to work on yourself. So you need to be happy with yourself. You need to be content with yourself. You need to have what you're going to do for deliver others. You need to have those feelings sorted with in yourself. So which is an inward component of compassion. And forgive me, Amruta ji, if I haven't explained it in a correct way. Hopefully I'm trying to cover as much as I can. And the outward content that she meant was we obviously, which is you want to understand them, you don't want to judge them, and you don't want to you just don't want to go with your own agenda. Okay, this is what I want this person to do. This is the way I'm going to fix it, without actually understanding, without actually knowing what's the talking to them and making them feel comfortable in speaking about what they feel. It is the outward way of an outward expression, compassion. The other thing that my group pointed out was it should become your personality trait. You should be able to practice it in your daily routine, you have to do it day to day. And also, obviously, the objective is to help others, and how Rajesh presented, you have to be in their shoes to understand what they feel, and leaving a socks is a really good idea. Leaving a socks is a really good idea. The other thing that I think what I wouldn't want to obviously express is there is a question that says what we shouldn't include in compassion is obviously the judgment part of it. And we shouldn't be delusional about what we are doing to the, and how we are helping. And in the video, Dr. Kamal said, when he needed a compassion, and someone said, someone was really helpful to him, and then in the end he said, in the name of God. And that's where he said, no, hang on, you got to stop here, because that's not making me comfortable. So I think that is very important. Respecting the other person's feeling, religion, or choices is very important, rather than imposing your own thoughts and your own religion or your own way of doing things on someone. And that is very important when you show compassion, because I think if you do everything for them, and then in it just in the conclusive statement, if you would be no, this is the way I want it, it might be that whatever you said, the person will forget it and will only remember what you've done at the end. So that was one thing about what and then the other thing that Bruce said was unexpressed gratitude is more painful. So it's not that we're always going to get people who are going to suffer and who's in a big suffering. Sometimes we'll have people who are really, really genuinely happy and won't be able to express what they're trying to do. So it's going to be you can't go to see someone with a prejudgment that, okay, that person is just suffering with something. It can be they're trying to, it's more about, some people are just when they have a lot of feelings, they just like, shut themselves, they cannot speak. So it's more about like, getting things out of them and like, making like, bringing them at that comfort level is what is more important in compassion presentation. I think that's about it. Most of the things that I had here is covered by others. I don't want to take more than everyone's time. Like, there are a lot of groups to go now. But thank you very much.
Thank you.
And hopefully I've done justice to what my group was feeling about it.
Thank you, Vaishali ji. I know it's going back to kindergarten and learning about basic stuff in our life.
Yes, that's true.
Get our pure self, and as we grow older, right? So
yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Okay.
Let's go for next one, and the line is Bhavesh ji from Australia, and he is the last one. And
No, and Bhavesh ji, the rule is that you have to say something new that hasn't been said. So
Namaste, everyone. That's what I've just messaged. Being the last is the challenge, the biggest challenge, because most of the topics have been, most of the issues have been covered, and I think there's been a great discussion happening around, spirituality and religion, and how you step into the other without knowing, without being even conscious about it. When you're talking to someone and then you bring in your thoughts of, how you practice your religion and try to impose that to someone else. So we had quite a in-depth discussion again, and we were talking around, we came up with the real life examples currently happening in Australia, and I'll be specific, being in Adelaide. There have been quite a few challenges where there has been pull and push of new migrants coming from overseas to Adelaide or Australia, and how to connect with them. So some organizations have been very active. When I say organizations, the structured versus us being the other side. They have been very active in terms of they have different ways of approaching the newcomers. When I say newcomers to Australia. You find them giving vouchers or, connecting them with the food, shelter, the basic needs. They connect with them. And that's how they kind of get to know and, connect with members without even asking what religion or, what do you believe in. All they need is compassion. They need someone they can go to. They need someone who they can, someone who listen to them, their issues. Because for myself, like this is my, we are the first generation coming to Adelaide. So for us, was the biggest challenge was settling down here, not knowing anyone, not knowing the rules of the country, or where to get your license, how do you apply for jobs, all these kind of small things, and it becomes a big challenge. Which Asha ji mentioned in one of in her talk that students might ask her, where do I get good food, or where do I get food? Such basic questions, but yet these are the things that have people on the edge, not even knowing that they're either going towards anxiety or depression. And that's where the compassionate presence comes in place. You're just there to listen to them. Whether you're going to guide them or not, that's a different question. But the main thing was, just be an ear to or a shoulder to someone, and that makes a big difference. And that's where we thought that that's your presence which counts. The challenge with that is, every human being has a way of giving their own thoughts. Like right now, me, what I'm trying to say is my understanding and my presence that I'm trying to give to this group, saying, this is how things have to be, or this is how things have to be. It's like, unconsciously we try to say what we believe in, and that's the biggest challenge when it comes to compassion presence. And yeah, there's so much that has already been covered, so I don't want to repeat a lot. But yes, this is something we came up with. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Bhavesh.
Yes. Sorry, I missed Shashi ji. So Shashi ji can go next.
Namaste to everyone. as a team, we are quite impressed with the views of all these speakers in the videos on spiritual care and compassionate presence. We recognize the need, the opportunities, challenges, and training required for Hindu chaplaincy. And we are of the opinion that as a Hindu Karma Yogis, we are inherently inclusive. We respect other faith and aware about our boundaries in a complex, pluralistic world. The particular point of interest in our group was SBNR, spiritual but not religious. We thought probably they are a political group and we should exercise caution because some of the groups may have an intention to digest and appropriate Hindu practices and traditions, and there are evidences for that. And as a Karma Yogi, we understand there is a difference between a priest and a preacher and a chaplain. To become the best version of Hindu chaplain, our team strongly believe that Hindu religion and spirituality are inseparable and they complement each other. One should not try to cut off from each other. That's what we discussed a lot in length. Spirituality is the philosophical extract of religion, and religion is the practical version of spirituality. And hence, religion is a method by which we become spiritual. That was our views. And on the other note, we discussed about the concept of gratitude in Hinduism. In Hindu thoughts, gratitude is the key, which is depicted in various Hindu prayers, mantras, and chanting. For example, Bhojana mantra by ISKCON, praying in the morning for Mother Earth. And while taking bath also we pray, worshipping the nature and rivers, and so on. And one more aspect we discussed was the core of Hindu religion. It encompasses dharma, karma, and reincarnation. These are the concepts we should use as a common point to connect among Hindu population, because we are also too unique, complex, and diverse. And these are all the commonalities among Hindu population. Whereas while dealing with the non-Hindu population, probably we should modify our approach. The last point is all about proselytization or conversion. As a group, we recommend that proselytization is unethical. Probably it is politically incorrect to say. And there should be an attempt or mechanism to identify it. And it should be included in code of practice, a good code of practice or conduct for chaplainship. Probably SCI and GTU should work together in the future to include this point. And that's all from our side. Thank you.
Thank you, Shashiji.
Thank you, Shashiji. I just wanted to say that there's a lecture, I think it's session 4, or it's not, it's maybe 5, core tenets of Hinduism. So we cover a lot of the topics that you've talked about in that. Vijayji does an amazing job of describing it. All right, thank you. Back to you, Anjana.
Yeah. Thank you, Garuji. Thank you, Shashiji. And the next is Ashaji from US. And I think she will be the last one. And let me know if I'm missing any other group today. Thank you.
Okay. Namaste, everybody. And namaste, Anjana ji. Thank you so much. It's all because of you that I'm here today. Thanks a lot for that. And I appreciate that motivation that you had given me. Actually, I had many questions, but I think probably in future I'll get a chance to, get a clarification on all the questions. We couldn't get the time because in our group, it's me and Dr. Divyaji from US. So we couldn't get the time to have the discussion, but yes, I personally had gone through, and I think she also went through the videos of the module. Because I am into social work, so I think compassion plays a very vital role for us and especially in the addictions field, because I'm into the addictions recovery for support youth and families in Canada. And also got an opportunity to volunteer the inmates in the prison. So that's really tough, actually, because, the inmates, I think they are in the prison they have so much of fear. They're going through a lot of emotions, the ups and downs. They have cluster of thoughts coming and going in their mind. So their mind is like a monkey mind, it never stays stable. They cannot make it still. A lot of emotions, which is especially based on fear of non-acceptance by the family members. There are many inmates who have been not accepted by the family members. They just left them, like they don't want to accept them back, even though they feel guilty for what they have done. But I think guilt is a very bad feeling that they have to carry and live with. So there are a lot of things, a lot of fears that they're going through. So I had many questions to, ask the CHT to help me out in how can I deal with them, because they wanted to do the Hindu counseling for the Hindu inmates. So that's what I'm doing now. So yeah, and in the video, actually, if I come to the video module, I liked what was said in the video where it was said that as you enter into the room of conversation with someone, you encounter that person and you have to think for yourself. You don't have to say it loud, that may I, this quality being presence, join with you in your world as it is for you right now, as whatever you are experiencing, and accompany you from there in a way that allows you to connect to the source of strength or comfort or meaning, however, whatever that is for you. May I listen for what matters most for you in this moment and accompany you from there. Whatever time I have, may I be fully present with you. So this one really works a lot for us, especially, I know for everybody, but for me especially, because into the social work, going and meeting the addiction youth, or maybe who are just recovered from there, who are now sober, but still they are going back sometimes at times. So it's difficult for them to hold on to that. Also, about the definition of compassion, what I felt was there is a lot of examples in Bhagavad Gita about Lord Krishna and Karna, but I personally like the definition of Mother Teresa because of being with inmates and everybody. I feel that Mother Teresa had said that religion has nothing to do with compassion, because as our love for God, that is the main thing, because we all have been created for a sole purpose to love and to be loved without judging or discriminating, and to be there just as a listener. So whatever we can help them in whatever way we can, and where there is love, there is God, and a path to closer to the union to God and the greater love for others. I think that is real compassion for me. So I really thank CHT that I could watch those videos and I could collect a lot of things, especially the ones giving them, never leave the conversation with them, with the people you are going to help without giving them a blessing. I know that was really a very wonderful thing, because whenever we meet the inmates, it's always good to give them the blessings, probably, give them the spiritual, just a simple word, because sometimes a small word, a sweet word, a positive word can give them a lot of hope and a lot of peace and happiness from within. So that can make a day for them. Probably that can make a life ahead for them. They get some hope that they have life still to live. So yeah, and that's it. I hope I didn't take much time. Thank you so much. Namaste.
Thank you very much. Wonderfully done, Ashaji. Thank you very much. I know there was a couple of questions up front. Are there, sorry, Anjana ji, anyone left that we did not cover?
I don't think so. We have anybody else. Yeah, you can take the...
A couple of comments that I wanted to sort of respond to. One was Lokesh ji asking, so Bruce G is Jewish and Dr. Kamal, of course, is Islamic, and their styles are, informed by their faith. And as you think about compassionate presence, and again, the full lectures on compassionate presence are later in the course. Mukundji is is going to take those. This is just to give you get you started to think about the problem. Now, Lokesh, so your question was, should we have Vedantic practices instead of copying others? And I agree with you. I think we should have authentic Hindu practices, but you're going to have to look deep into the tradition and evolve your own style of offering a compassionate presence. And my thinking is that I think you're going to find that human behavior and learnings on human behavior are very similar in other older cultures as well. But again, by all means, we should find our own method of offering our presence. The other question was Malaji asking me that, what about those people that are not doing chaplaincy? What do they do with spiritual care? So in the lecture, Malaji, I talked about how you expect to serve lifelong as a volunteer. And so as a volunteer, you're going to be, doing spiritual care work, just not in a professional setting. And so I expect that all of us will be doing this work for a long, long time. Yeah. All right. There's been a lot of back and forth on the chat that I'm seeing on the 200-word limit. It is a short limit for a reason. That reason is to force you to think harder about the problem, because otherwise, you can write long, and it is fun to write. So my recommendation to you personally is write the long thing and then abstract it down into 200 words, and that'll be more meaningful and fun to read. My question to you and a couple of people, if you could, volunteer, are you getting what you wanted out of this course? We are always, you don't know to the extent we are able to change the course around. Anjana ji will tell you that this isn't the course we did last year and the year before. We keep evolving, so your feedback is important to us. Are you getting what you wanted, you thought you wanted out of this course? Anurag ji.
Hi, maybe turn on my video. Namaste. Maybe is the starting of the course, maybe we go deeper. So one of my expectations from the course was like getting more about the Hinduism, because there's so many scriptures, and as you mentioned about Gita also, I've listened to Gita a couple of times. But like if somebody started discussing with me Gita or a scripture, I don't feel like I'm at that position where I can talk about those scripture. So get that kind of depth or some confidence on them. So maybe later on, maybe you guys will cover it.
Yeah, of course. The volume of Hindu content we are covering here is quite a lot. Right now, we're setting the base. We're essentially creating a foundation, helping you build a personal perspective, give you a sort of broader vision.
Right.
And then when we go into from session 4 onwards, you're going to go back and forth. A lot of Hindu content is going to come from your way.
Maybe you can recommend some books or some videos. I don't know. I mean, there's so much. I mean, I keep listening all the time, but there might be some which you might prefer for this kind of course, I think.
All in time. When we get to, so we begin with core tenets of Hinduism. We talk about Bhagavad Gita's place in history. Then we get into Bhagavad Gita, then we get into Karma Yoga, we get into everything. We try to cover a lot of distance. 8 of the 24 classes are relating to Hindu tradition. These first 2 classes are not included in that. So.
Okay, looking forward. Thank you very much. But this class is also great. Thank you.
Sure. All right. Anybody else want to sort of offer a reflection? Are you getting what you wanted? Are you enjoying the videos? Are you enjoying the group discussions? Are you enjoying the homework, writing and pruning process?
I'm Thai. I'm Sangeeta. Hi, I'm from California. I think you've done a fabulous job of setting up this course and its parameters. It can't be everything. So I was trying to, I think it symbolically, maybe think of it, I'm thinking of it as you set up, given us a thali and there are katoris you're going to fill in, but that is our thali, with our toolkit and yeah, and we'll grow from that. But I think you've done a fabulous job of setting that up for us.
Sure, yeah. There's another question from Shirenduji, which is it possible to have short one-on-ones with the RFs? Yes, it is possible. Post your question. We're happy. We're here. This is what we're here for. So we're happy to talk to you when you want. Just post your question so we know what you want to, to talk about. Rajiji has sent me a private message saying this is better than what we expected, which is great. Rajiji, what is your suggestion? You may please share with public.
I was hoping I can just send it to you.
Okay, send it to me privately. All right. I want to just call out Anjana ji and the amazing work she's done, not only in today's session, of course, she's doing great, but also through the recruitment process. She's been a stellar partner and a wonderful sort of teammate to work with. It's an honor, Anjana ji. Everything you're doing is a true labor of love. Thank you. You will be grading everyone's homework, so please be very effusive in your praise for her work.
Sure, thank you.
Gaurav, I want to add
Yeah, Rajat.
just a few words on Anjana ji. She has, our HCI, as we mentioned to you before, is we are a home dollar volunteer organizations, and people are basically step in with their own shraddha, with their own devotion, with their own passion, whatever it drives them. And we have had a great bench of leadership. You have seen many of them, Usha ji, and I won't name everybody, but the faculty, the board, the visiting faculty, there's about 300 people who nurture this organization. And so some of the younger people, they come in, and so I have to recognize Anjana ji as one of our, this year, one of the real dedicated people who's setting a great example for, and also building a strong team around her. So I salute her in this class. Thank you.
Okay, Rajji.
Malaji, you have a question, and we're about to do the closing prayer. Malaji, your question?
Yes, I had just a comment. I think like within our own group, it's a great opportunity to practice spiritual presence with each other in whatever ways we communicate. That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah,
that's a very good point. Yes. Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you, Malaji. There's a question from Binduji. Binduji, your question is, when can we start watching session 3? Session 3 videos should be uploaded on Sunday, this coming Sunday. You're going to have a lot of fun. There's not one, but about between 12 to 14 videos to watch. Essentially, we want to give you a sample of karma yoga, why people do things the way they do. So you can find your reason, so give you different ways of interacting with it. So really fun interviews that we've been conducting. And I think you're going to have a lot of fun watching them, though it'll be a lot of video content. So, be prepared for it.
Gaurav ji, a quick one. Is it possible to upload those videos on Friday? If it's not too much work, because then we get the whole weekend to listen to them.
Yeah, I agree.
It just gets harder.
So, all future videos are coming up earlier. This particular one is still being finished up because we're still going through a lot of interviews that we're canning. So Sunday, unfortunately, will be the earliest. I will try to get as many of those up earlier, but Sunday is what I can promise you.
That's fine. Thank you.
All right. Wonderful. I'm going to open up the closing prayers again so that we can look at it together. Sorry, are you looking at the right screen? Let's do this again. Closing prayer. Just what is it? 1. Okay. All right. So this is Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina. I'm going to mute everyone so that there's no bleed back. Please sit comfortably. We're going to chant Om once and then the closing prayers. So please sit comfortably with your back straight, the back, neck, and head comfortably upright in a straight line. Close your eyes gently and relax the expression on your face. Bring your palms together in Namaskar Mudra, pressing the palms together gently. We're going to chant Om once and then the closing prayers. Exhale completely. Take a deep breath. Inhale. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayah, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukkha bhag bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Take your arms behind you, grab your right wrist with your left hand, breathing in, stretch. Breathing out, bend forward in a deep sense of surrender. Come back up, breathing in, release your hands, rub your palms together to generate some heat. Gently cup your eyeballs to transfer that heat. Then massaging the face, blinking open your eyes and pull your palms back and open. Look. The meaning of the prayer is, may all be happy, may all be free from illness, may all see that which is auspicious, may no one suffer. Om, peace, peace, peace. With that, I thank you very much for joining this wonderful session, And I look forward to seeing you in the next session. Namaskar.
Namaste. Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
See you next week.
Thank you. Have a wonderful week. Bye.
Namaste and thank you everyone. Bye.
Namaste.